So as you see there, chapter 2 is what we are going to deal in this particular session, financial and accounting systems, as the name goes by, since we are in the field of finance. Now this is another important aspect that we have to consider as to what exactly is the theme of this particular chapter. Now there are multiple types of systems. If you want to use individual systems for doing certain tasks, you can do that. But if you want to use one system or one software for all, that also is quite possible, which is what is the theme of this chapter, called as integrated or EDP. As you see there, integrated, non-integrated systems. So before we get deeper into the discussion of integrated and non-integrated systems, we have a few points that we can understand in the beginning of this chapter, very easy. So I want all of you to stay very focused. It's not at all a difficult topic. So let us take all those into consideration, and then we will go ahead and discuss many more things. So first of this is going to discuss about integrated and non-integrated systems, but we will get to the discussion very shortly, because first we need to understand a few more terminology before we do anything, right? You see there two words, integrated and non-integrated. But before we go there, what do you mean by system? Process, I guess we all know, is nothing but a sequence of steps. To finish something, when we want to do a sequence of steps, that is only called as process. So a couple of easy things. And then we have classification of data into master data and transaction data, which we already again know. So I think if there is anything new, we will stop by and look at it, but otherwise it's going to be a very safe read is what I guess. Okay, let's start the first definition, which is, what is a system? A set of principles or procedures for which something is done. So you know what a system is, right? We follow, generally we use the word system to represent anything that follows a particular pattern, right? From a human body has so many systems: respiratory system, we have the neuro system, we have the digestive system. Means what? A series or a sequence of procedures which are taken. So a set of actions that are done to achieve something, that be a system. A set of principles or procedures as per which something is done, which is nothing but an organized scheme or a method. So many words are there for the word system. The word system can be explained in simple way. Okay, what is the simple way? Is nothing but a set of detailed methods. It is nothing but a set of detailed methods, procedures, and routines. Set of detailed methods, procedures, and routines created to carry out a specific activity, perform a duty, or solve a problem. It's an organized, purposeful structure that consists of interrelated and interdependent elements. Two things: interrelated and interdependent elements. We can even call them as components, parts, whatever. Simple word is parts. Components is the most polished word. So components also mean parts only, different parts, right? These elements continuously influence one another, directly or indirectly, to maintain their activity and the existence of the system, to achieve the goal of the system. Now, that's exactly what we are also looking at, because that's what we also want. No, the system should perform and do or finish some kind of an activity. What is it finishing? What is it doing? That's what is the first and foremost idea. Now, all systems generally have, now there is a process called IPO, which is input, process, output, and then storage, of course, followed by what is called the feedback. Now you know what a feedback means. Feedback here is something which is a mechanism of telling you what is good about it, what is bad about it. You all know what a feedback is. In system context, I'm telling. So whether the program is helping you achieve something or is it not helping you achieve something, what is it? Like its existence, does it fulfill the purpose? These are all the points that we need to really understand again. Okay, so this is the story about what we look for in terms of the steps involved in every system will have what? Four IPOS, it's called: input, process, output, and storage, always followed by a feedback mechanism. Underline that it has input, output, and feedback mechanisms. They maintain an internal steady state. Maintain an internal steady state means, as a system, what is designed will continue to be the same, irrespective of the changing external environment. We all know this and have discussed thousand times that external environment is changing, ever changing. That is, it means it's infinitely dynamic. We have come across this point so many times, right? Systems may consist of subsystem which are also a part of larger system. If our entire human body is a system, then digestive system, respiratory system, the neuro system, all these are subsystems. Now subsystems by itself can behave like a system which is a part of a larger system. Okay, so I can simply explain you that, like, the take the example of a car. Now when you have a car, you have wheels, you have the engine, you have so many things done there, right? So all of those on their own are systems, but when they all work together as one, then car as such will again be termed as a system. So therefore the larger part is called as the system. Now let us remember this very carefully so that you won't have a problem. Let me just draw it across for you. This, let's say, is the system. Okay, anything here will be called as a subsystem, which is nothing but the subsystem. Now this subsystem is nothing but the part of the larger system. Okay, this is part of the larger system. As to what happens now, multiple subsystems like this will come up to a system. Now this subsystem alone can be viewed as set of interrelated components. Okay, subsystem alone can be viewed as set of interrelated components. They can be viewed as a set of interrelated components. But will on their own will they fulfill something? Yes. But is it the whole idea? No. System is something a broader idea. So that is what is a slighter difference between system and subsystem. I hope you understood what this difference is between system and subsystem. Now comes the other interesting part that we have to understand, which moves on to talk about what is a process. Let's go with that. Come on. Second part. What is a process? Okay, I think the last line also have to be read. System stop functioning when an element is removed or changed significantly. Obviously, like say you pulled off something from that car that I gave the example. Entire car may not work. Arey, what is there, sir? One tire only we pulled out. Now with other three tires it can go. What is it? Car or auto? So you cannot take off one tire or be like, remove, sir, that engine you remove, let the car be. So there are all the components. Unless all of them come together, the car is not going to move. So if you remove sometimes some parts of the entire system, maybe the entire system can come to a standstill. Together they allow understanding and interpretation. So that's the story behind what a system is. Very simple definition. Let's actually concentrate now on what is a process. It's very easy because we already discussed in many places. But here in the systems engineering arena, that is in the context of systems, not about others and what are these and what are that. We are not talking about all of them. We're just talking about systems arena. A process is defined as, underline, sequence of events. What is the process? A process is defined as a sequence of events that use inputs to produce outputs. A sequence of events that uses inputs to produce the outputs. This is a broad definition. This is a broad definition and can include sequences as mechanical as reading a file and transforming the file to a desired output format, or to taking a customer order, which is like sales process, taking customer order, we procuring goods, the purchase process. So what is the process? A sequence of events which will start from input and then produce the output. From a business perspective, a process is nothing but, underline these two words, coordinated. What do you mean by coordinated? One connected to the other. One piece connected to the other is called coordinated. From a business perspective, a process is a coordinated and standardized flow. What is it? It's a coordinated and standardized flow of activities performed by either people or machines, which can traverse means travel across, which can traverse functional or departmental boundaries to achieve a business objective and create value for both internal and external customers. Okay, a process is nothing but a coordinated and standardized flow of activities performed by people or machines which can traverse, means travel across functional or departmental boundaries to achieve a business objective and create value for internal or external customers. Then let's move on with these two definitions, just the opening part of the chapter. I don't think I have to explain you master data and non-master data, so I can give you to read this one. So what will we do? You can just take a quick read. I'll give you a couple of minutes here. Fast. Just master data here, and you will also have transaction data in the next page. I will move it across, but quickly read what is there on screen here, which is called the types of master data. First, you finish reading that, because as latest as a couple of classes, we have discussed what is master and transaction. So I'm just asking you to read from the screen as to what is master data. Very quick, and just, in fact, I should say cross check with what we learned a couple of days back. Come on, quick. Okay, keep it fast. Master data. So you know these words, relatively permanent. Okay, so nothing to panic there. Same definition. Actually, lot of today's concepts are, revision for you, which is why I'm a little relaxed, because somehow I hope you know all these concepts because you discuss some of them in costing and other places. So as defined above, master data is what? Underline relatively permanent data which is not expected to change again and again. Will it not change at all? No. It may change, but not very frequently. It may change. Please underline that also. So if somebody says master data will never change, that is wrong. It may change, it's given. It's relatively permanent data which is not expected to change again and again, but it may change, but not again and again. In accounting systems, there may be the following type of master data. What is it? First one, accounting master data. Oh no, so much of accounting master data we know, because ledger names don't change. Sundry debtors, same way sundry creditors, capital account, reserves and surplus, fixed assets. So many master names or master records can be created, like say capital. So what does accounting master data consist of? All those ledgers, groups, cost centers, etc. Capital is created once and is not expected to change. Amount will change, but as a ledger it won't change. Sales, purchase, expenses, income ledgers are again created once and not expected to change again and again. So you know what accounting master data is. Date, amount, all those will be transaction data, guys. Mostly static data. I want to introduce a term here which I want you to kind of write it down, because later you will find that coming across in some other chapters, some other place. So I want you to be very thorough now only. This, when you're talking about master data, it can also be known by another name called as standing data, which means something that does not change very often, and it is relatively permanent. Relatively permanent, you can even say static, but static means it's not permanently static, right? So we say static, that's all. Okay, please make a note of these words. Master data is also called standing data, because a couple of chapters later they will use this term standing data. Don't wonder at that time what it is and all that. Okay, they're mentioning about this only. Clear? Now second one is inventory master data. Inventory master data includes stock items, stock groups, godowns, inventory voucher types. Stock item means each individual stock item. Stock item is something which is bought and sold. Stock item is something which is bought and sold for business purpose, trading, etc. Example, if a person, if he is into a business of dealing in white goods means electronics. Okay, if a person is into the business of dealing in white goods, stock items shall be TV, fridge, AC, etc. For a person running a medicine shop, you know what medicine shop is, all the medicines will be the stock items. Under them again they'll have a group. Okay, so basically it's like that. Payroll master data. What about payroll master data? name of the employee, permanent address of the employee, gave this example also. Payroll is another area connected to the accounting, and payroll is a system for salary calculation and recording of transactions related to employees. Master data in case of payroll. Master data in case of payroll can be names of employees, groups of employees, salary structure, pay heads. I hope you know all this, right? These data are not expected to change frequently. Obviously, name and which category they belong to, what sort of an employee. Salary structure will change, no sir. Salary may change monthly. Salary structure definitely will change, because when you get promotion and all that, the salary structure also will change, but not very often. No, that fellow once in 2 years or some, whenever promotions are due or whenever hike is given, that time salary structure will change. But for that, it's all semi permanent only. No, so you call it as master data. An example: employee created in the system will remain as it is for a longer period of time. His or her salary structure may change, but not again frequently. Pay heads associated with his or her salary will be relatively permanent. Last one is called statutory master data. Of course, nothing is under your control here, because statutory means government compliances. Rates are defined by the government, everything. This is master data relating to statute or law. It may be different for different type of taxes, like GST. In GST only so many rates are there. Nature of payment deducted TDS, tax at source. Okay, this data shall again be relatively permanent. No sir, government changed. Government, what will they do? Daily they'll change the rate. So whenever they change the rate, you also adjust the master data. But till then, it's something that which does not change very often. We don't have any control on this, as they're made by government and not by us. Okay, got that point? So in case of change in tax rates, forms or categories, we need to update our master data. But for that, we won't go and pester our master data. Basically, whenever there is a change that is requested in the master data, authorized person should do. I think enough number of places you already read the master risk, which says that unauthorized people may end up changing the master data, and we don't want that to happen, and that is exactly why we have to establish the controls. Now, anything other than master data which changes very often will automatically be called as non-master data. You don't need my help there, or it is not even rocket science. So straight away you can read what consists. I mean, like what what consists of non-master data quickly. Then we will discuss quickly what is our personal master data. When it comes to you and me, what's our personal master data? And the big question which can come in the exam is why master and non-master data. But before that, I want you to quickly do what's there. Come on, read up about non-master data very fast. So don't tell me that you are making us read. I've already explained this in detail in the first chapter, which is why I'm making you read now. Non-master data is called transaction data. First thing you understand that. Okay? Come on, very quick. Non-master data. It's a data which is expected to change frequently, again and again, and not a permanent data. Amounts recorded in each transaction shall be different every time, and the expected change again and again. Date recorded in each transaction is expected to change again and again, and will not be constant in all the transactions. To understand the concept of master data and non-master data, let us correlate with a simple example with our own selves in the example. Our name of parents, we expect that to be not changing. No, name of parents and all, address, blood group, gender. Okay, I'm not talking anything. Huh? Yes or no? Our name of parents, address, blood group, gender, date of birth, etc. is a personal master data, not expected to change. But all of those, except blood group, unless, okay, anyway, that's very far. All this, our name and all, unless people, again, sir, how can you tell name does not change? A lot of people change their names. Yes, quite common that to most of women after marriage, they now want to continue with a different name, or they want to modify their existing name to a different name. Quite possible. I'm not saying never this will happen. I'm just saying these are permanent in nature, long time. Our address may change, but not frequently. At contrary to this, Some information of which may fall in the category of non-master data are, which is not permanent data. Date of birth is master data, but age is moving every second. So if you ask me today what is your age, and tomorrow if you ask me the same question, it will be different. Age changes. 1 hour later, if you ask, I'm older by 1 hour. All of us are like that only. Age is non-master data. Weight is non-master data. It keeps changing. Maintaining weight as a master data will be a fitness goal. Okay, if you understand what I said. So it is not a master data. I'm telling you that could be your fitness goal. So to keep it within a particular range for years together, it's a tough task. Not very easy at all. Not at all easy. Okay, I mean I do that so I know. So try to keep it. No, that's up to a personal choice. There is no force. If you want to keep the weight in a particular range, you also have to abide by that. So many people don't do that, right? So they at one point of time they tend to do overeating. Then suddenly they'll become fitness conscious and then they'll reduce the weight. Then again they'll get back to their old ways. We've seen a lot of people like that. It's quite common. So because it keeps changing, our moods keep changing, our food habits keep changing, our food patterns they get changed because of so much of the workload nowadays. Some people work in night shift, they don't eat properly. A lot of problems are there, so which leads to all this. Anyway, our likes and dislikes again are non-master data, so they keep changing and changing. The big question for this particular hour is, why should we have master data and non-master data? Why can't we have only one and close the story? Why should we have two separate master and non-master data? Now I think by now you would have understood, if there are some sacred aspects which need not be entered every time when you know that they won't change. For example, payroll, name, address, until you intimate the payroll team that there is a change in your name or address or anything else, every month should they type the same thing? Why should they type? So what you want to avoid, the wastage of time in doing the same thing which is adding no value, unproductive work. Typing the same thing again, what will you get? Nothing. So therefore, where semi-permanent data is there, if you keep it as master data, saves you a lot of time. Not only that, few other advantages are also there. We will now go ahead and read why we should have master data and non-master data. This could be a question in the exam, guys, so stay very alert. Basic objectives of accounting system is to record input, okay, in the form of transactions and generate output in the form of reports. Now transaction can be purchase transaction, sale transaction. Basically whatever happens, we record it in the form of a transaction and then get the reports in the form of balance sheet, P&L and all that. And we are all doing accounting for years, so now they are telling this, which is not a great wonder for us. But what is a new fact that we are learning from here, which is about master data and non-master data? So that part, let's see clearly. Master data is generally underlined, not typed by the user. You guys know what a drop down list is, right? Drop down list. Let me make an important point here. A master data is not typed. Why is master data not typed? Because it's already input into the system. So it is chosen from a drop down. I think as latest as in the previous class, I gave you examples of billing in DMart and other supermarkets, right? When you go to a particular supermarket, they just scan. Now, already a list of scanned master data will be there, inventory. Master list. Master inventory list. Now, the moment you scan one item from here, which will be as part of transaction. So, if some customer bought this good and you scan it, it will go match to the master data and pull out and get those details so that you don't type and it will not go wrong. That is our main idea. The main idea is not to type 10 times. Check this out, clearly given. Master data is generally not typed by the user, it is selected from an available list. That is, for example, if you want to debit a particular ledger, debit ledger name is selected from the available list of ledger. If ledger is not created, User needs to create it first and then complete the voucher entry. So first you have to create the master data and then you have to make the entry. Master data entry is usually done less frequently, maybe once in a year, or where there is a need to update. There is no rule that you have to do it only once in a year. It can be more than 1 year, or it can even be, like once in 6 months you want to update. Effective controls, very important. Effective controls over master data entry could be a 4-eye check. 4-eye check means two people, not those people who are wearing specs. Generally, we teach them, no, 4 eyes, not 4-eye check here means two people should be there. One person's work has to be checked by the other. Remember segregation of duties, that thing. Effective controls over master data entry would be a 4-eye check where there is another person who independently checks whether the master data entry is accurately done in the financial system of the company. Then non-master data. How about non-master data? Is typed by the user. Example, you want quantity. Sir, last time you bought 10 quantity. This time I want 15. Who are you to tell me how much quantity I want? So something that changes very often, like the quantity is the best example. Non-master data is typed by the user and not selected from the available list, and it's non-permanent and it keeps on changing again and again. So till here, I guess everybody can understand without any sort of confusion. But now one very important example I'm going to give you. I want all of you to concentrate. Sometimes, watch this carefully, even transaction data can be selected from a drop down list. Oh, even transaction data can be selected from drop down list, it seems, based on the inputs available to the user. For example, when a GRN, that is goods receipt note, you will receive goods and a GRN is prepared, right? So for example, when a GRN is created by the stores or warehouse personnel, they might select only the open purchase orders available in the system and input the actual quantities received. In this case, many fields required to complete the transaction is pre-filled by the system and user is not allowed to edit those fields, like name of the vendor, how much you already received, how much you received now, what is the balance, date. All these are not editable fields. Why should you edit all those? They automatically will come in. Only thing is you have to select against which purchase order you received goods. So can we select it? Yes. Now, instead of just reading out that for you, I would definitely want to show you that, and I want you to be very clear on this one because easy. Concentrate here. Small example, okay? When we want to buy goods, we'll raise a purchase order. So remember, purchase order number 415. We will go with some 112. Let's start with something random I'm picking up, okay? Then 415 113, 415 114, 115 116, so on up till this. Then each PO has a quantity: 200, 400, 200 again, 100, 500, and so on. Now these purchase orders are already entered in the wherever they are supposed to be entered. Now the big question comes: whenever we receive the goods, when we receive the goods, what is that we are passing? We're passing a GRN, correct? GRN number 26754, some random number, okay? Now the big question is, against which PO did you receive the goods? So GRN number 26754 was raised against the PO number 415112. Sir, for how much quantity? 100. Sir, what nonsense you're talking? We raised an order for 200. So matlab our this one fellow supplier, he right now has 100. He sent 100. Okay. Now, which is exactly why they're talking about this example. This is all transaction data. Now, few days later, we received one more. Meanwhile, so many GRNs are raised. Now we are in this 26784. Maybe 30 GRNs later. Let it be any time. Now tell me, which PO number will come here? several POs might have got done, no? So in the meanwhile, we received 415113 under, like some 62 GRN. We received 400 quantity. So this is done completely. This PO is also fulfilled. Like that, some orders are fulfilled, some are pending. Now, a few days later, let's say here you have a drop down like this, and you click the drop down. Okay. The benefit of using all this, so many colors are there. You went and click this. Now tell me, the moment they click this, what all will come here? 415, 112, 116, and then 117, 118. Whatever open POs yet to receive goods, they are there. So let's say we selected this 415, 112, and then you saw quantity. Will you be able to enter 200 here now? No, because the PO itself is for 200. Already you received 100. So for a balance 100. Tomorrow when auditor comes, when he checks whether the goods are received against a PO correctly. So if this cross verification is done, 415112 PO had 200 quantity, and this 200 quantity was received wide two GRNs. One is 26754 and one is 26784, and so these two GRNs had 100 each. So quantity total 200 matching, and order quantity was 200 matching. So that's how this purchase order gets fulfilled and closed. This part, though it is transaction data, because we have only finite number of POs left, because we have only finite number of POs left, we can select it from the drop down, and that is exactly why it is becoming drop down in this case. Otherwise you normally have to type it by hand. Since this kind of facility is there, so sometimes I'm just trying to justify this point that they told you here. Okay, I hope everybody can clearly understand this example. So now going back, I want you to read this again along with me. For example, when GRN is created by stores or warehouse people, they might only select the open purchase orders which are available. They might only select the open purchase orders available in the system and input actual quantities received. In this case, many fields will automatically be filled. Master data is selected from available list of masters to maintain standardization. As I told you, Sandeep name should be standardized, means what? It should be whenever that person, that is why in most companies, no, employees, their names are irrelevant. They'll be given an employee code. That is important because that is unique. Names will be same. Sir, initials, some people initials also are same. So if somebody says M Sandeep, somebody another M Sandeep is there. Then so why do you want to go to name? Go to a unique number, no? Employee ID, employee number. So it's just pretty unique. Story done. So master data is selected from available list of ledgers to maintain standardization, as we need to collect all the transactions relating to one master data at one place. For example, all cash transactions are collected in cash ledger for this purpose, and all transactions relating to capital are collected in capital ledger. While inputting the information, user is forced to select the master data from available list so that you don't make mistakes. Then you don't get, you don't tag the wrong page, or you don't do end up anything funny. While inputting the information, user is forced to select the master data from available list just to avoid confusion while preparing reports. Because the same ledger name may be written differently. As I just told you, I saw this mistake in hell a lot of my clients who use Tally because they create accounts. Sundry debtors. They'll write such horrible spelling for that. Some fellows, they'll write DRS. Some fellow will write debtors. Some fellow will write debitors. So horrible. So why should you give them a chance to enter? Whenever they choose from drop down sundry debtors, one only will be there. No, choose from that. Okay, I hope everybody is clear with this concept of why should we have master data and non-master data. Now next 5-10 minutes there is some time pass activity, because they are now talking about what is a voucher in accounting, what is debit and credit, what is a contra entry that you did in the 3-column cash book. I am not at all interested in discussing this 1.3.2 topic with you, so I will leave. Leave means not Leave it to you. I know you will not read if I leave it to you later. For now only. What is a voucher? Any document that supports a particular transaction. Voucher is a documentary evidence of a transaction. Basically the invoice followed by a voucher. Anyway, first I want you to quickly run through the entire concept of master data, non-master data, that is transaction data, and then the last question, why master data and non-master data? It is already asked in the exam. There are all possibilities, it can come in your exam also. So please take a quick read at that and then come down to all the voucher types. That is also your job only. The next one, inventory types, also I'll make you read because there are a lot of things that you already know. At least I'm guessing that you know. Okay. Chala, quick. I want you to read the or run through quickly that so that we can come down to voucher types, which is again, as I told you, I don't know why even they give you all this, but here there's a purpose why they gave this. Little later when we discuss ERP, all this will be helpful. So please take a couple of minutes and quickly do this fast. Very easy. Voucher is nothing but a documentary evidence the transaction. There may be different documentary evidences for different type of transactions. You know that. So when we pay money, we'll get a receipt like that. Same way when we receive cash, we generate a receipt. So receipt given to customer after making payment is a documentary evidence of the amount received. When you buy goods, you will obviously get an invoice, right? The proof of you buying a goods. A sales invoice, purchase invoice are all documentary evidence of a transaction. Journal voucher. So if it doesn't fall in the category of sales, purchase or any other subsidiary book categories, then it will go in the general ledger category, correct? So a journal voucher is documentary evidence of a non-cash or bank transaction. For example, you want to post a depreciation entry or you want to post a provision entry. So then you will use what is called as a JV or journal voucher. So basically a lot of voucher types are there. Without any hesitation, we will discuss this now. I hope you guys know 3 column cash book. You did contra entries. Whenever you withdraw cash from bank or deposit cash in bank, cash transfer from one location to the other, basically the effect is nullified. There's no effect, and since there is no effect overall, you but have to still show the entry. Such entries are called contra entry, payment entry, receipt entry. So basically you will have payment voucher and receipt voucher whenever they are happening. Then we have a journal voucher as you just read. Then sales, purchase, both of those vouchers. Now you know sales returns and purchase returns are two important transactions that may happen. Credit note, okay, is issued for wherein for making changes or correction in already recorded sales or purchase transaction. Debit note, I hope you know what credit note and debit note are. Okay, credit note for somebody who's already credited. So earlier you debited like sales debtors. Now there is happening what? So you are now telling them that whosoever has been debited earlier, we are now crediting you and sending a credit note to them. The opposite of that is a debit note. When you do purchases, you would have credited somebody, but now when purchase returns are happening, you'll be like, okay, we'll raise a debit note. So from 1 to 8, all those are accounting related vouchers, which I believe you already know because you passed a lot of journal entries. Moving from there is exclusively what we're talking about inventory oriented vouchers. If you can see that, talk about what? Inventory oriented vouchers. What are those? Purchase order, sales order, stock journals, physical receipt of stock, that is after the stock counting takes place. What is the physical count of stock? That one. Delivery note. Now, delivery note is a document that is generated when goods are delivered to a customer. When customer sends you an order, according to the order you will pack the goods and then you will go and deliver it, right? What is the proof of delivery? This delivery note. Like how GRN or goods receipt note is a proof of we receiving goods, delivery note is a proof that we delivered the goods to the right person at the right time. Purchase order, sales order, stock journal, physical stock, receipt note, all these are pertaining to inventory type of vouchers. 15th one is a memorandum voucher. You know memorandum, right? You prepared memorandum trading account. When you don't want to do something original, we'll go with this memorandum. For transactions which will be in the system but will not affect the trial balance, they're called memorandum transactions. We'll maintain a memorandum account for goods sent on sale or return basis. We don't know it will be sold or it will be returned, right? So for goods sent on sale or return, or for any aspects where you are not 100% certain, we'll go for a memorandum account. Then attendance and payroll are both HR related area vouchers. Everybody, did they come to the office or not? Nowadays what people do is, they swipe their card across or they put their fingerprint in the system. When you take out the this one, what do you say? Um Report month end, how many days you came, when you logged in, when you logged out, all the details will be there in that. That's what is attendance and payroll. So just a list of names of all the different types of vouchers that are used in business have been given. Not only that, they gave you a quick insight on what a voucher number is, like how each of us have a name which will help us identify ourselves, or which will help us go tell people that I am so and so. Same way here, voucher number. A voucher number or document number is a unique identity. Is what? A unique identity of any voucher or document. A voucher may be identified or searched using its unique voucher number. It's easy, everybody will have a unique voucher number. But again, voucher number, there's a particular way how to put up. Let us understand some of the points. First one, voucher number must be unique. Each voucher type should have separate numbering series. For sales, purchases, for everything, we should not have a common voucher series. Should have a separate voucher series, so that that is why they go for purchases slash or PUR slash or PUR slash 2021 slash what is the number. So why do you have unique voucher numbers like that? So that you can easily identify. A voucher number may have a prefix or suffix. Anything it can have prefix or suffix. Like for example, IMP slash 034 slash 1718. So it's a voucher, it's an import voucher purchased pertaining to 1718 34th one. It's just an interpretation. There need not be any rule like that. You can have your own voucher numbers. All voucher numbers must be serially recorded, 1 2 3 4 5 6 serially. All vouchers are recorded in chronological order, one after the other. All vouchers are recorded in chronological order, and hence voucher recorded earlier must have an earlier number. Depending on that, it's a simple timestamp thing. Whichever occurs first, voucher number also should be in order. Okay, 3.4 is a very difficult topic because all our life we have been finding that only as the most difficult thing. Once again, they're reminding you the accounting flow. The first thing that happens that we will pass, uh, first transaction will happen. I'm sorry, yeah, first we'll have a transaction will happen, and based on the transaction, a voucher is raised. Based on that voucher, that is nothing but a journal entry is made. Posted to the ledger. Ledgers are then balanced. The trial balance is prepared, and then you will finally prepare balance sheet and P&L. Nowadays, all this aspect of posting from the journal to the ledger, from that ledger to all the sub ledgers, and from there preparing trial balance, and then a balance sheet and P&L, you don't have to break your head. For all this only softwares are there nowadays. So software can handle this part. Which part? The 3 4 5 6 part software can easily handle, nothing to do, nothing to take any tension there. Okay, wherein if you look at 1 and 2, how will system even know that what do you say, transaction took place, and then entry should be made. So the occurrence of the transaction and entry of the initial means at the journal level, they both are human. You can see it here. See these two steps, these are human, because the occurrence of a transaction and voucher entry both are obviously uh, something that has to be initiated by the man only, in the sense we should as a human being do that. Then once you post that journal entry, just think of a software like Tally. Now in Tally also pick up the journal, debit account, credit account, and then say enter. From there, going to the ledgers, from there to trial balance, balance sheet, P&L, everything it will take care. So two parts to this flow, the accounting flow. Now I'm not talking about whether you know the accounting flow or not. Some of you might be studying commerce from 11th standard. So ever since then you are seeing the, okay, some of you might have come from a different stream and all, but some of you might even see from 11th. So from long time we are seeing what is the accounting flow. So today I'm not here to tell you or discuss on what is the accounting flow. In my subject, how is it relevant? In my subject, it's relevant to identify which part of this entire flow system can do and which part of this human being has to initiate. So human being has to initiate that occurrence of a transaction and its entry. From there on, everything can be taken as per the flow in the software. Got it? Are you guys clear on this one? Huh? So to wind up this, we have types of ledgers, which you all know very, debit ledgers and credit ledgers. Debit ledgers, we have asset ledgers and expense ledgers, and the credit ledgers are income and liability. Expenses and income go to P&L, assets and liability go to balance sheet. The word sheet is missing. If you want, you can write down. Okay. Broadly, any ledger will fall under these four heads only. Either it should be an asset, either it should be an expense, or it should be an income, or it should be a liability. So if you group ledgers, it should fall under these four categories only. Grouping of ledgers. At the time of creation of any new ledger, it must be placed under a particular group. It must be placed under what? A particular group. There are four basic groups in accounting: income, expense, asset, and liability. There may be any number of subgroups under these four. Under assets, you can have fixed asset, current asset, investment. Under liabilities, you can have long term liabilities, current liabilities, and expenses. You have so many heads of expenses, you know much better than what I do. Grouping is important because all this is the way to tell the software what is the nature of the ledger. So when you create a ledger, is it an asset, is it a liability, is it an income, is it an expense? Out of this four, which are you grouping it to? That is very important. Creating ledger is not a problem. Once you create a ledger, to which group this is related, you have to, and that is how it will be shown in the time of reporting. If you group it to liability, it will show under liabilities. So you created capital ledger, no, some time back we discussed that example. So when you create capital ledger, you will group it to liabilities. You create fixed asset ledger, you group it to assets. So that, and then in fixed asset we have sub ledgers, plant and machinery. So okay, why should I show it by way of actions when we have a great chance to show everything here on screen? Why take tension? Give me a minute, we will. So when you see that that in a particular account is created, let's say we are creating plant and machinery. Now when you are creating a ledger like plant and machinery, where this plant and machinery will be connected to, plant and machinery will be connected to fixed asset, correct? Now fixed assets is one of the categories of assets. This is how grouping happens, okay? I'll tell you one more example. This is about assets, right? We'll talk about expenses. Printing and stationery. So printing and stationery. This will be going to indirect expenses. Indirect expenses. And indirect expenses in turn linked into the broader head called expenses. End of the day, this column, whatever you see here, no, they will have only four. Okay, asset, expense, either it should be a liability or it should be a income. That's all. You have so many of those subledgers, and you know what is the ultimate one, but it will all finally come under these four. That's when you prepare a P&L, and then of course the balance sheet. Now nobody is preparing T shape, I just put it across for your understanding. Are you clear, guys? So this is exactly how we use this particular topic. But anyway, apart from why master data and non-master data, there is no real serious exam question. So understand what is master data, what is non-master data, and both the definitions are very important. And then the question, why should you have master data and non-master data separately? That discussion of 5-6 points, that can probably be a question in the exam. Rest of that, vouchers, ledgers, all those are for your understanding. Just have a quick look at all of those, because the think it's a very easy topic, right? So you should not be any complication there. Then we will move on to one of the very, very interesting topics of this chapter, called the technical concepts. Before I discuss the technical concepts, take a minute to quickly run through all of those topics in the first lot that we discussed, so that we are absolutely sure about what we have discussed. Then we'll move on to technical concepts, starting with how does a software work, what is the flow of a software working. With a very beautiful example, they've explained it, and that's also been an exam question. So I want you to stay very alert. But after a minute of your quick review of the entire topic that we discussed till now of master and non-master data, come on fast. So this one right here is a topic which is actually, though they headed it as technical, they didn't go in detail in telling you really as to how a software works and all that. They gave you a broader outlook. Now, and again, I don't think you will find it very difficult because we all are using so many softwares, we are playing so many games. Now, there are so many ways how you guys are acquainted to a software, so I don't have to tell you what is the working of a software, correct? So let's pick up an example like WhatsApp very quickly. I hope all of you are somehow or the other using WhatsApp. That's why I'm not even going to Facebook or Instagram. Some people don't use all that. So WhatsApp. Now there are two things to the story. Something that happens in front of your eyes, something that happens somewhere. We don't know where it is, but it happens somewhere. Correct? Now I picked up my phone and typed one text. Eventually it has to reach you. So you know the process. From me, it will go to my service provider, whoever is my service provider. Let's say I'm on my Wi-Fi, so Act Fibernet are providing me the connection. So through their servers, it will be routed. If I'm on my 4G, I'm using Airtel or Geo, whatever, through them. So some service provider. So the moment I type something in WhatsApp, through whoever the carrier is, if I'm connected to the Wi-Fi or on 4G, depending on that, they will take it to the WhatsApp servers. Correct? So from my phone, when I send a text, that is a WhatsApp text, it has to go to the WhatsApp server. Now also I will be able to send this text to another person who is on WhatsApp, obviously. So the moment my text reaches WhatsApp servers, then an outgoing signal is awaited. Like from WhatsApp servers, it will reach the recipient. Now recipient, if he is on Wi-Fi or 4G, then the message from WhatsApp servers is passed on to those servers, and from there it will be passed on to the device, which can also be pretty much tracked now because you have single tick, double tick and blue tick, so which is also very easy. The moment text leaves from my device, correct, all of you know this, right? So that is why making it life more easy. So when you send a text, the first, when it leaves, you get a single tick. That means it's reached the WhatsApp server, but it hasn't found an outgoing signal because the other party is not ready to receive it. Maybe they kept the phone on flight mode or whatever, or their Wi-Fi is not turned on, 4G is not there, some reason. From you, it has gone, but it hasn't reached the other party. Now, let's say it has reached the other party, then you will get a couple of ticks, which means what? The server is giving a confirmation that the message is not only sent by you, it's also delivered to the other person. And I mean, like one of the killer features is the blue ticks, because of which a lot of people fight. Okay, chalo. Anyways, the point being that we are being given a indication. Now, of course, you are given what do you say, the options to turn off all the blue ticks and all. You guys know this much better. So all I'm saying is that's not the point that we're discussing. I'm saying the moment you see blue ticks, which means the recipient has also read it. So till the recipient reads it, everything is being tracked. You should understand. Now after that also it will be tracked. And one of the fantastic things that WhatsApp tells is end-to-end encryption. Today is not the time for us to discuss that. It will come. It will, in the sense, there is a discussion on encryption later. I will discuss it with you at that point of time. But all I'm saying is the working of a software has a flow. The part in my example where you type the text and hit the enter button, you can see this with your eyes. The recipient, when they receive the text, they can read it, they can see it on screen. That's all. These are the only two things that are visible. Agreed? These are the only two things that are visible. And there is something happening which we can't see. This is like, sir, something is happening in background. I'm not able to see. A background, no? This is called back end. Recently, we have so many cases where system faced outages. Outage means what? WhatsApp servers are not responding. Too much load on them. WhatsApp servers were not responding. So you were able to send the text, but you are not getting a single tick or a double tick. Nothing is happening. And you, many people, what they'll do? No, they'll check their Wi-Fi. They switch it on and off. Then they'll go on 4G and see. Then they'll restart their phone and see. I guess you might also been a victim of this. But the problem is not with your phone or anything. WhatsApp servers themselves are not responding. Okay. Why did I explain very clearly with this example is we got to pick up from there only. something that you can see happening in your device, as a technical name for that called as foreground processing. So why such complicated name and all? Keep it simple now. Okay, front end, as you see there. Working of every software is broken to front end and back end. Okay, but before getting to front end and back end, what is this all about? Let's see. As nowadays almost all the financial and accounting systems are computerized, nobody maintains physical books of accounts and all, except for you guys who are maintaining all that. That's only till your exam. Once you are done, once you are into the practical world, nobody puts a pen on paper and does anything. Everything is all computerized. It is necessary to understand how does it work. So for all of you who might have raised that question, sir, let the software work anyway, what's your problem? In the past, no, some people used to tell me, sir, I'm driving a vehicle, I don't even know how that works. I'm driving, no, why should I know how it is working? Don't tell us stupid logics. Correct only. No, if I drive a car, I don't know how the car is made, how actually the story. I'm just, and like there are hell a lot of people in millions who play games on smartphones and all. Do you, like, think of it? How this game is designed? What might be the codes that they have used? Did they use a Java platform or a Python? Did we think of all this? Simply game is coming, you're playing this. So you can still behave like that and say, why should I know about accounting systems? They are working. No, I'm giving input, they are giving output. What is your problem? Why do you want to waste time on? So I'm not wasting. Again, I'm telling. I'm not. We are not wasting time here. We are supposed to understand the process, because not only the input and output. If there is any flaw in the process, then every transaction goes wrong. No. So which is why this has to be addressed a little carefully. We are going to understand the technical concepts from the perspective of a non-technical person or a layman. That means they are talking about you only here in this particular. You, okay, I'm nothing to demean. So, but again, going by that line, in this example, you are only that non-technical layman person who doesn't understand. Sorry, it sounds like you're scolding. I'm not scolding. Your book only is. It's telling that you don't know, so please understand. So this topic is discussed in the context of a layman who does not understand the technicalities, nor he wants to go into technical details. So I'll give you one quick example here as to what this point is. So back then, I got a smartphone for my mom. She is not impressed with all this, because she's not well versed with any of the technology and all. So she used to use a Nokia phone. And she's like, no, 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 I'm very happy with this keypad phone. I will get, some of my friends will call. So we'll just talk and drop it. Why do I want all this? I don't want. This was the first time when I told her that we'll buy a smartphone. She said, no, 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 all that. I don't know how to use all that. Just touch phones and all. I don't want unnecessary. It's a few, obviously, a few years back. Okay. Then I said, no, 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 things are changing. Maybe, keypad phones may not be existing in future, and the entire working of this will change. So, you have to adopt. She's like, no, 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 I'm too old to adopt to all. So I said, like, start. Use the same thing. Call and talk. That only you use. In the process, if you want to learn anything, you can learn. Okay. So, somehow I got her a basic, not very high end and all that. Normal, to start off kind of a Samsung smartphone. So initially, obviously, as like every elder, she'll find it difficult for some time. Now she's really not bothered about how it's working, as they told in the first paragraph. She doesn't want. All they want is the output. So I want to call somebody. What should I press, or what should I touch? From there, it evolved to such a phase. Now she's on Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp. Where not? Wherever I am not there, also she's there. It's a matter of time. How did things evolve? And don't ask me. She plays, what is that? Candy Crush. And back then she used to play something like Temple Run, all on this device. And then she's telling one day suddenly, phone screen is too small, get me a tab. And you won't believe I got one. And then she's still playing so many games in there. Now neither they know how the game works, nor they know how the software is written. So you can't obviously go and explain all that, because it's not needed. She says, this game very simple. What should you do? Hurdles will come. We just have to push the guy. That's all. Job done. So what does it mean? The user of a software will never, unless he's a unless he's a technical guy who wants to understand, but for that 95% of the general public, they don't want to have an understanding. Sir, accounting professional also included. Okay, in this example that I told you, it's a quite a story. Like what I told you is a story in every household for so many people. Many people who told that no, 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 I don't want this touch phone. Today are not leaving the phone also. Correct? And they're there on every social app. And they download so many things. And they, like what all they do. And few years back, these are the same people who said, I don't want. So how did things change? Because these are very easy, a revolution in the field of using apps, things became way more easier. The gaming industry, early 2000s to 2010s to now in the 2020s, gaming industry became a billion-dollar industry because of these soft and easy games. But how the hell is all this working? So, sometimes she comes up with some doubt. The score is not getting updated, or here something has to come, it is not coming. That's exactly where two things come. There are so many things that happen on your screen, which is called as front end part of the processing, which you can see. So user using a front end will communicate. Our mode of communication is touch. Now you can even communicate with voice. Now, I don't want to tell something because suddenly the phone will start. Now if I tell something, automatically the Google voice assistant will start off. So if you give a command, or you can tell Alexa to do whatever it needs to do. So what are all these ways of input? But sir, when I am telling something to Alexa, how does it understand? Now, I hope you guys know what Alexa, Siri, Google Assistant, all these are. They're all artificial intelligence systems which are capable of taking instructions. Now, you being the user as a front end using this platform, communicate your point. In the back end, there is all the data that is stored, which will help it in processing. And now, back end is totally technical. Back end will process and send it back to the front end. Front end will show it to the user. Simple. So does user and backend talk? Now, as you see on your screen, it's very clear out there. User and backend, there is no connection only. They didn't draw any line. You can see a clear connection between user talking to the front end talking to the back end again communicating to the front end. That's all. That's the critical part. Got it? So there is no connection with the user and the backend. Let us read the text so that will clarify it even better. The two words that software people use again and again, let us understand this in simple language. Front end. It is that part of the software which actually interacts with the user who is using the software. So how will they interact? Obviously through, various modes are there. Some people have menu. Some people have, what do you say, dashboard. Nowadays fancy names are given for that. The way you interact with that particular software is called as front. Now WhatsApp, you touch and interface with it. Or any games, you touch and play. So touch is the interface. Voice can be the interface. Drawing can be the interface. Any interface. Backend. Look at backend. Little extra explanation is given for the backend. Check this out. Backend is the overall part of the software which does not directly interact with the user, but it interacts with the front end only. If a user wants to have some information from the system, like you want to pull out the balance sheet, what you will do is to go type a bar called as reports, and reports will show all that balance sheet, P&L, cash flow, whichever you type on balance sheet. Okay. Anyway, just takes a minute here, so we will quickly see it because you can remember it longer when you see it on screen. So moving up, what are we doing here? If you want to extract a report, what all will you do? There is a title bar with so many of those actions, right? Let's say one of those bars is report. So first you will click on report, and then report will give you a drop down. Means what all reports the system will be able to give. System will be able to give you balance sheet. System will be able to give you P&L. System will be able to give you cash flow statement, debtors, anything, any report. That depends on the features. So first you will go and click on this. So click 1 will be on report. Then this drop down will come. Then this will be your click 2. Now the moment you click on both these, immediately balance sheet is going to come and throw up, Of course, that depends on the processing speed. Now, inside there is a back-end system which will be a place where all this is stored, all the content. Now, what will backend do? Understand what the user asked. In the first click, when you clicked on report, backend understood that you want a report. In the second click, when you clicked on balance sheet, backend understood that you want the balance sheet. Now, whatever is stored in the backend will be communicated back to the front end, that is on the screen. You will now be able to see balance sheet as on whatever date you give, that will be visible. Okay, if you go and ask the system something that it can't deliver, error message will be generated, as simple as that. Okay, so this is what is front end and back end part of the story. The same thing is given even in the explanation here. So if you quickly see what the explanation is, one, user will interact with the front end part of the software, request generate the report. Front end will receive this instruction, pass it on to the back end. Back end will process the data, generate the report, send it back to the front end. Front end will now display the information to the user. I think more than the text I showed you better by showing the flow. First we'll click on the report, then drop down will come, we'll click on balance sheet. Both will be communicated to the back end. Back end will pull out all the details of balance sheet and throw it back on screen. Got it? This is how the process gets completed each time. And this is for your quick information as to what is front end and back end. What is front end and back end? But the bigger question, and the question that came in exam is this one. I want you to highlight this. Why there should be a separate back end and front end? Why not have a single space? Don't you think that's too complicated? By its name only it is showing up. It's a complicated issue to have both in one. Sir, then what should we do? Simple. Have both front end and back end. They've, I like this concept because here they picked up a very beautiful example. Very easy to, justify. 5 reasons are there, not one. 5 reasons are there, and to justify that, they picked up a help of a restaurant. Sir, why restaurant came? Because restaurant also has a front end and back end. Waiter will come to you. He'll pick up your order. Go inside the kitchen. Is the waiter going to change the clothes there, and does he start doing the cooking? I mean, no, right? There is a chef inside who does that because he's an expert in that. He'll just take the order, the waiter. Because waiter's job is to talk to you politely, give you all the options, give you clarity, not confuse you. I have gone to many restaurants where the waiter will confuse you. So if you ask him which one is better out of this and this, he'll give you so much information that you don't need, that you will not feel like eating the dish only. So yeah, they should be polite. They should be able to talk. They should be able to make you understand what it is. The chef is inside. He doesn't even need to talk, and he's standing in kitchen, obviously, right? He's working in a condition. He can't obviously remove all his kitchen dress and then remove all the cap and then dress like a waiter and come out and serve. Then take the order. Then again go inside where all the. He will do his job. This fellow will do his job. What is this called? Expertise. Subject area expertise. I think I told you somewhere the subject area is called domain. Domain means specific subject area. Those of you who don't know, please write it down there. Domain means what? Domain is a specific subject area. You can write it down there. The first and foremost reason why we should have separate front end and back end is that only. Domain expertise. For example, in a restaurant, a waiter is an expert in handling customers while a cook is expert in cooking. These two jobs are separate and should not be mixed with each other. And should not be mixed with each other. Both these jobs must be performed with topmost quality. What should you do? Both of these should be performed with topmost quality. Same story with software. Front end software is meant for handling the request from user, while back end software is meant for storing and handling the data. Subject area experts. Front end will only do the talking, back end will do only processing and storage. Okay, fair enough. Expertise, going by the expertise or subject area expertise. Two, let's move on to the second factor, presentation. A waiter can present himself as well as food in a better way. Everybody likes good presentation. One cannot expect a good presentable cook as he or she works in the kitchen. You seen that, no? They'll be sweating from here. Their hair will be okay. Not everybody, but generally. Okay, so it's very horrible to sometimes see. If you see that, you will not feel like eating. I hope you guys know what I'm talking about. Anyway, I don't want to delve deeper into this point, but you guys know it. There are many places where if you see the making, you will not feel like even taking a bite. But as long as you're standing outside, you want to eat fully. Mostly these, fast food and all that. Now, I think many of you must have lost interest in all that. But so many days are over, like throughout the pandemic, they're closed, and now we are really afraid to go and eat outside and all. So, anyway, all I'm saying is, chalo. It's a phase. But point to be noted is waiter will do his job, cook will do his job. Presentation. Front end software interacting with user is meant for presenting information in a proper way. Like it gives in the form of tables, charts, graphs, use attractive colors. Front end will do all that using different colors, bold, italic, tables, charts. Back end is all technical. Back end software is not meant for it and it cannot be expected. Back end will do the processing. That's all. Got it? Then, third one, user experience. If you want the user experience to be smooth, you need two people to handle the story. Waiter handles the processed food and not raw material. Whole process of getting the order, right from ordering to billing should move smoothly and user experience should be very good. This is supposed to be done by a well trained waiter. You can't expect this from a cook. If user has to feel the experience, then like the way you present the food and all that, that's why five-star hotels charge a lot. The fellow will do unnecessary overaction. Who? The waiter there. Correct? Yes or no? When they tend to be so polite with you, over polite, and they do everything, and where normally you have a habit of eating with both the hands like this in your house, if you go there, be like they'll give you so many spoons and forks and all that, and then they'll tie up something to your neck, put some cloth on. Eating in five-star is like testing your patience. And I've seen people cut some traditional South Indian food like dosa and idli with a knife and then take a fork and dip it. Like, what are you even doing? Okay, so that is the kind of behavior a place will attract to. There, if your experience is to be smooth because of the environment, nothing more than that. I'm, like if somebody takes a knife and cuts something like a dosa and then put a fork into it, like turn it 2 3 times. Are you eating noodles? So don't really realize what you're doing there. But because of the ambience and the place there, you tend to be over. And that fellow also who's serving you, he'll make sure that as a rich customer experience. This is called user experience. You just have to feel good about what you're doing. Why you are doing, nobody will ask. Software also. The ultimate usage. When you see on screen, it should be attractive. That's when you will stay with the software. No, if you don't, then what is that? You'll jump off to another app. Front end software should guide a user to pick up a desired report. Now I'm going on searching. Where is the report tab? Where is the report? Sometime back we saw no. Click on the report tab, then click on balance sheet. I'm not finding report tab only. So there only user will be like, oh no, this software is stupid. We will buy another. So smooth experience should be there. That's what we are trying to bring it up here. Okay. The very simple point. Front end software should guide the user to a desired report. Front end software handles processed data and not raw data. User interface on the front end software needs to be intuitive. That is, minimum help should be sought by the user. Everything should be visible on the screen. Fourth point is a very simple one. It's called speed. Obviously, if one fellow is handling both cooking and delivery, practically it is sounding stupid, but also it will take a lot of time. After placing the order, customer expects a quick delivery of food. Nobody likes waiting period. This is only possible when there is segregation of duties. Waiter will handle customers only, cook will keep cooking only. Not only that, when somebody does the same job more and more, taking a memory back to strategic management, remember what we studied as experience curve. Repeating the same activity again and again will increase expertise and efficiency. Learning curve effects or experience curve effects. So, of course, if two parts, front end and back end, are there, speed will definitely be a great. Using single software for both aspects will unnecessarily increase the load and slow down the speed. separate front end and back end is used to back end is used only to handle data. This reduces the load and increases the speed of operations. Expertise, presentation, user experience, speed, and most importantly, language. Backend, I told you sometime back the statement, no, I don't care if the program is written in Java or Python or XYZ. I don't care because I don't know all the technical languages. For me, what I see on screen makes sense. That's it. A waiter needs to be polished and polite. He or she needs to understand the language of customer and speak to the customer in the language in which the customer is comfortable. Cook has got nothing to do with this aspect. For example, let's say cook can't speak. Cook by birth can't speak. Any problem? Not a problem. Because he's not the one who's handling that, right? Cook has nothing to do with this aspect as he's not interacting with the customers. His job only is to prepare the best quality food. Front end speaks the language understood by the user. That is why we have graphics, charts, tables. Easy to operate menus. So just go and click. Sir, I want report. Click on that. That's all. What is the way of you telling the system that I want this report? Are you going to any coding mechanism and typing? You're just going and clicking, no? And then let's talk about some games. You're tipping. You're talking about hitting the start. Then in meanwhile, somebody calls you said pause, resume. By clicking all that, what are you telling? You're directly giving the instruction. Sir, when I click resume, how is it continuing the game from there? I think some of you guys play high-end games where you can save the game after a particular place. Like say we play this game like GTA, for example. You've reached and covered a particular level or few levels. You want to save the game for that day and continue tomorrow. We do that, correct? How does the system continue from the next day there only? So this is what the backend does. Okay, backend takes a note of that frame and it keeps data of what you did so that your score will continue, your thing will continue. You understanding? So front end speaks the language understood by the user and understands the language spoken by the back end. So this front end is a mediator. As you can see it in the diagram here, it's very clear. Front end is a mediator. User will talk to front end to back end again back to front end, again to the user. So that's exactly where the entire story is. Backend speaks in technical language, not understood by laymen. So front end can speak in these languages and user language and both technical languages. So that is exactly why we have both front end and back end. Very, very simple topic. I would like to give you a shortcut also to remember this. The 5 points here as to why you need front end and back end. I call it as pulse, PULSE. The 5 words: presentation, user experience, language, speed, and expertise. Expertise means domain expertise. Like domain itself means specific subject area. Told you to write sometime back. Those of you who didn't write, please write it down now. Specific subject area. Specific subject area is called domain. If you have specific subject area knowledge, you're called a domain expert. So you need to have all these 5, and which is one of the reasons why you should have these 5 points. So why front end and back end? A very beautiful example of a restaurant is given to make our life more easy. With waiter and cook, they explain the technical concept so simply with this particular topic. So that's a very nice way of explaining, you can say. And that brings us to the end of technical concept number 1 as to working of a software. You have nothing to worry much about what is an application software. We will discuss that in detail again in a later part of the syllabus also. But anyway, in the beginning we will discuss this application software. But what's coming up as one more important technical concept is the difference between an installed and a web application. Nowadays many people don't install applications in their system because everything is on the cloud, or you can do it on the web. So when you can obviously do it on the web, like you guys store some of the photos in Google Photos, OneDrive, there are a lot of online places where you store, right? Why sir we should store it on our device and waste the place? We store it online, we'll put it on Google Drive. So what earlier was done on the device physically can now be done on the web. And a lot more interesting aspects are there. Like for example, I'll give you a quick one. You want to convert a Word document into a PDF document. You don't have the converter. What's the next best thing that you will do? You will go on to Google and simply type convert Word to PDF. So many websites will pop up. You will click one of the websites, upload your Word document, it will convert and then give you the PDF document. You will download it. But where did it convert? So it converted on the server. So the software was on the server. So you, without even having the software, by using something called a web application, you are able to get the job done. When web applications are helping you to get the job done, why do you have to have an installed application? Another important exam question is the difference between installed applications and web application. 7 point difference is there. We will see which one is better or which one is not. But all I want you guys to honestly do is please go through this chapter because it's a very easy one. And when these kind of things, you have to be stronger so that we can score more marks. I'll catch up with installed versus web applications in our next segment, wherein we will discuss all those 7 points and then go off to the title of this integrated and non-integrated systems. And then there is a whole new story that expands. Non-integrated means only one, it's not connected and all that. So that creates a lot of chaos when you're working. Sometimes it's not helpful. Integrated system where everything is connected, there some problems are there because everything is connected. And we're going to discuss integrated systems in greater detail in the later part of this chapter. That's where concepts like ERP will come in. So a lot of interesting topics are lined up in this chapter. Go through the basics once again and be strong. I'll catch up in the next session. We will come back and discuss the installed versus web application.